I do a lot of movie reviews on this channel because, frankly, it's really hard for me to get into movies these days. Now, I feel like a lot of people are kind of the same, where when you can notice obvious plot holes or the jokes are just too cringe, and like, I don't mean like cringe where you're like, oh, haha, kind of cringe, but like cringe where you're like, oh man, why am I watching this? It gets to the point where you don't really want to watch movies anymore, and a lot of movies do this. And I have experienced like an actual movie in years. I don't watch new movies. So today I woke up a little bit early and I couldn't go back to sleep, so I figured, I saw this Transformers movie I haven't seen. It came out in 2023, but it's like one of the newer ones. But still, I want to watch it because I was like, I like the other Transformers. Makes sense. It's called Transformers: Rise of Beast. I've seen some of the memes on it, seen some of the clips from it every once in a while. So I gave it a watch. This movie sucks. And I'm gonna 100% like stand by that because like the plot alone is just written very, very poorly, and it doesn't feel good at all. So before we get into it, let's describe it a little bit, right? So basically, Optimus Prime has essentially, I guess, trapped his team on Earth, like always, and he is essentially trying to get this key that opens up a portal that would allow him to travel to any planet. But the primary goal is to travel back to their home planet and essentially just be able to go back home and not be able to do anything. And it's a logical plot line, and I think that overall that's pretty cool. So it starts out with this guy who basically has his like little brother who is sick. They don't really tell us what the kid is sick with or anything like that, but here comes the first couple plot holes, okay? So he takes his brother to the hospital. Spoilers ahead if you haven't seen the movie, by the way. He takes his brother to the hospital to basically get a checkup for his sickness. And apparently, the hospital that he goes to, like, sees that he has a pile of debt that he owes the hospital. So they refuse to see his brother unless his brother is in critical condition. And then he wants to argue with them about it or whatever. I've never had been that type of situation. I can't speak on like if they would refuse or not, but I can speak on this. Why not go to a separate hospital? Because according to the plot that we get introduced to almost immediately, by the way, they already have told him multiple times that they are not going to serve his brother anymore until they start paying the debts that they already have incurred from the hospital. And because of that, he just spams goes to the same hospital where then he has to like do this awkward walkout essentially with him and his brother, full well knowing that they aren't going to check him up. Like, that makes zero sense, bro. I would go to anywhere else. Like, you live in the middle of the city. You're telling me there's one singular hospital. Really? One singular hospital in the entire city? I just highly doubt it. Most cities, like, have two, three hospitals. Not every single city, but, like, this is, like, New York or something. They don't even really tell you what city you're in, but like it feels like a New York. I think I saw the Golden Gate Bridge at one point. So it could be not New York. I should say. Um, so I'm not 100% sure, but that's just what it looks like to me. And then the next second they go to. I'm already kind of irritated at this point because, like I said, tiny plot holes just irritate me, especially when they build up in a movie. That isn't that big of a deal. Sweep it under the rug, get past it, move on, whatever. They go to the next area. Guy's trying to get a job. Okay, well, what does he do? He goes into this job for a security firm, and this guy was basically ex military, essentially, and they apparently pulled his background from when he was in the military and called his military, like, officer to see how good he was in the military. That would never happen. In a billion years, that would never happen. Not only would all of that clearance be completely illegal for them to access, but all of that it would be stuff that you would have to physically tell them and give them that like you know that maybe you aren't in the military anymore because you can't work with people and stuff like that, because that's what the movie kind of insinuates, I guess you could say. So this part, at this point, I'm already kind of tilted, I guess you could say. Like it feels very forced, essentially. Like it's like they are physically forcing it to the point where you're like, man, I can already feel this plot line's gonna choke. So we go on. The guy basically becomes uh ends up going on a job to steal something for someone instead, so that way he can make money. I think that's fine. That's a good plot line. I mean, if you couldn't do anything and your family member is struggling that bad, of like how his brother was, then okay, I would say that you'd probably go along those lines. Um, at some point in time. I don't think it's a good thing, but it probably would happen. And so he goes and he does this, and this is where he meets the first guy, basically. So he happens to stumble into Mirage's car, which basically Mirage is. I don't really know how to describe it. Mirage is the only like Autobot. It's the Autobots, right? So he's the only one who can transform into multiple different cars. So he can transform into a Porsche, a BMW, Bugatti. He can basically transform into whatever he desires without having to do like the scan or anything like that. He just auto do it essentially, which is kind of cool. And they become like boys, and then this is where the plot begins. They go and they start stealing the key, and they have to fight and everything. Blah 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 blah. Fast forward a little bit, they basically pick up this chick who is a history buff, like a history genius, I will say, and she's a pretty good actor. There's nothing really special with her plot line. There's nothing off-putting. There's nothing bad. She's just there. She is just a character. That's for sure. And there's really nothing special. She's a good actor by all means, but like they did nothing with her character at all. And it made zero sense to me. Like the actors in this movie were really, really good in my opinion. Because when he originally like stole the car, like the actor himself was able to put on like pretty good faces from what I could tell of like shock, despair, and fear, and that was pretty nice. And then like their couple scenes together here and there felt pretty good. It didn't feel like robotic or anything like that. And these are two actors I've just never seen before. Maybe I'm out of the loop of new gen actors, but I've just never seen these actors before. And eventually, they basically make their way to a separate country where they're looking for the key that opens the door, right, to their home world. And obviously, the Autobots can't fit into a lot of these places, so they send the humans in, you know, like they usually do. And the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, they find the area where the key is supposed to be, and it's in the center of a town, like this super well kept, super nice area. It's like these old ruins, I guess you could say, that you could just tell that they've kept well over the town. But you know what they have to do? Man, they got to make sure there's some moss, some wear and tear on this ancient piece of like artifact that's in the ground that's basically sealing away the key. I don't like when movies do this, like at all. Like I think something that's really cool is man, what was the movie? It was like Treasure Hunter or something like that. I don't remember, but the guy basically goes and he steals like the Declaration of Independence because it's like a map or whatever. Sorry, I'm just blanking the name of it. I can't think of it right now. But like that movie, it does have plot holes, but a lot of the time it's like, oh, the Declaration of Independence, he has to steal it, and it's still in the spot the Declaration of Independence would be. They don't try to get around it or try to make it look older or try to just do like weird stuff, you know. But in Transformers, what they do is they make it look like really old and dusty and like it has been touched in years and it's not being taken care of because it's this ancient ruin. They have absolutely no clue how an ancient ruin looks, and like that has to be facts because like the writers wrote it in this way where like this thing that is in the center of a town apparently is never touched. This thing that's in the center of a of like essentially this massive courtyard that you can tell is well maintained by the people who live here has never been touched. Really? So they clean everything else, but they don't clean the ancient artifact off, like even from just like picking up the moss. And people obviously will be like, well, this is just a tiny plot hole, whatever. But I think it goes like, if there's something in my brain that just goes deeper than that. Because I'm like, well, then this has like not been touched in what 100 years or something like that. If there's like moss and mold forming across the top of stone, keep in mind like all pure stone, like it hasn't been touched forever, but it's in the middle of civilization. So then we go on with that, and they go into this ruin and no key, essentially. And you're like, okay, makes sense. They have to make the movie keep going. Either there was going to be no key, or there would be a part of the key, and then someone would steal it. Because it's a 2 hour long movie. Like it's 2 hours of this. Keep in mind, so it's not like simple one and done. Like this video is fairly short in comparison. So it, it's kind of crazy that I'm summarizing it like this quickly, but this is basically the entire movie. So they start running away from this like robot that's chasing them, and they make it into the woods, and they lose the robot after a little bit of a battle, and they run into, from my understanding, what is supposed to be the OG Transformers, essentially. It's like the primal version of Transformers. And I'll say their designs are pretty cool. Go back to our image here. So their designs are pretty cool. So you have like a monkey, an eagle, a jaguar, and a rhino, essentially. And then so this monkey is called, if I remember correctly, it's called like Optimus Primal or something like that. And when they're talking, he says, "Yeah, I'm named after the hero of our world, Optimus Prime." So now I'm confused, right? When does this movie take place? Did they just like completely cut the original storyline out, and then this is supposed to be like a new storyline? Because I think that's what it's supposed to be. But then it doesn't make sense to me. Why would you start this with such high tech? Because they show stuff like scanning, they show like advanced tracking missiles, they show a lot of like newer gen tech, but Optimus has only been on the planet for 7 years in this movie. So keep that in mind. So out of all the plot lines they could have chosen, is basically he's been on the planet for 7 years, and I would say that they're using tech from 2025, maybe to like early 2020, essentially. So they have been on the planet for 7 years, so it's been since 2013. I mean, they completely swiped the OG storyline completely out of this, which makes zero sense because the OG storyline was kind of the whole purpose, that they had to keep fighting that battle over and over and over again because stuff kept coming up and there kept being issues and stuff like that. But then they make it feel like these like the animal ones are the OGs, but they're not. This is the OG squad. It hurts my brain trying to put this plot line together. And not to mention, they make this movie so weird too, because for some reason they make Mirage, the guy who can transform into anything, super super cringe. Bro is just constantly saying like pop culture references and like memes that like no one cares about. Legit. Hey, that's like his entire character is that they make B like super 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 nonchalant, essentially. Like they literally make him like be the guy in the corner crossing his arms, and then they make Optimus like way way over care to the point that he would refuse actual real help for his basically for his brother in, so that way he can aura farm. That's the best way I can put it. Like they literally just want Optimus to, like, aura farm the entire movie. He's like, human, we do not need any help. As like he's like, but I do not know how to get in this building. Like, okay, it makes sense. And then obviously they throw in the most random thing ever, and they have this like other car with them. I don't remember his name. Honestly, like at this point, I was half tuned out of the movie. So they get this other car with them, and the car has a what is the accent? I think they went to Peru. So what's the accent in Peru? I don't know. Um, but he has like a Peru accent, and basically one of the guys is like asking if he speaks Spanish, and the car's like, "Wow, that's racist." Wow, that was like the funniest joke I heard all week. Let's go, baby. The jokes were just so cringe, you know, and I know like they're. I don't even know if they're trying to be funny. I'm just gonna not lie, but that's what it felt like. It felt like they're trying to be funny, but like they don't want to push the boundaries of like what funniness is essentially, and it just kept flopping over and over and over again. And then basically at the end of the day, they don't even end up getting the key. By the way, they get the key and then they like keep everybody on the planet. That's basically the end of the movie. I that is like, sorry, that is a very abrupt movie summary, but like in general, that's what happened in the entire movie. Yeah, this movie's terrible. Please do not continue this series of Transformers. Like genuinely, or get new writers or something. Because if you compare, uh, like the OG Transformers, right, side by side with this, you're gonna go, oh man, I wish I would watch anything else. I mean, literally, I probably could have just put on a 2 hour YouTube video, a lore video about Transformers or Optimus Prime, and probably had a more enjoyable time. Not even joking, because at least then, like the lore would have actually like made sense, done a deep dive. It probably would have actually had some like funny jokes because the creator actually pays attention to the political and economical state of the world. But yeah, that's just kind of how it went for me. It it was a wacky ride, and like I said, it's hard for me to watch movies because like my brain just automatically will pick up on plot holes, especially things that make zero sense or things that I know a lot about. I kind of hate it sometimes because imagine, let's say you know a lot about cars, right? And like you're a car guy and you know how they work 100%. You know how to take. You could build them from scratch if need be, and then you're watching a movie like let's say you're watching, I mean, literally Transformers, or you're watching like the Cars movie or something like that, and they start talking about it and they're just like completely utterly wrong, and then they make some sort of like cringe joke about the thing that they're also wrong about, and you're like, oh my god, bro, what am I watching? Yeah, it just ruins the experience for me. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Do you like Transformers: Rise of Beast, or maybe you're like me? Maybe you're just like, yeah, that movie sucks. If you haven't seen it and you just want to watch a bad movie, go see it. Like that's my advice. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a wonderful day. Peace.